Hello, Matt. It's Rowan from Silver Tiger Media. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm good. How are you doing?
Absolutely excellent. Thanks very much for your time today. It's terrific to catch up with you.
No worries, man. I appreciate you calling.
Not a problem. Congratulations on your new album, Brainwashed. It's a magnificent and massive accomplishment. I reckon it's great. Are you happy with how it turned out?
Yeah, I'm very, very happy with it, man. It's a huge relief to do you know if it's released in Australia, or is it on April 3rd in Australia?
Sorry, mate, you cut out there for just a moment. Do you mind repeating?
Yeah, is it being released on the 3rd of April in Australia?
I think we've got it on the yes, it looks like 3rd of April.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, it came out yesterday in the UK.
Yes.
And yeah, it's a huge relief to actually release the record. It's something we've worked incredibly hard on for the sort of past 2.5 years, really, and to release it and actually sort of give it away to the masses and just get some feedback from it is an amazing feeling. It's something that we're really happy with because we worked so long on it, and yeah, I'm really happy with it.
Magnificent, and it's been about 2.5 years in the works. But New World Torture was released late 2014 with the music video. How was the reaction to that release?
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, but it was obviously the music industry now does these things called instant gratification tracks, which is why it has sort of a music video that's not really a music video, and it's more just a way to put the song out.
Ooh, sounds a bit.
That's why there's not much of it. So that's why that's not really a proper video. But yeah, the reaction was ace. Just to start, we had such a gap of putting music out because we had a couple of sort of problems within the band. Lars, our singer, had some throat surgery, so the actually sort of getting to the end of it and releasing the record was like a big sort of sigh of relief that we sort of made it through this full period and a period that was actually like that is kind of responsible for the way the record sounds, and a lot of what we're talking about in the record comes from what we've been through over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the burning banner symbolism in the film clip.
Yeah, well,
what's that all about?
That's basically, we're just trying to say the record's called Brainwashed, and everywhere it's impossible to live without having advertisements, and with the media, everything is constantly being pushed down you. Sort of pushed. Unless you sort of try and really keep your head on your shoulders with your personal opinions, then before you know it, someone else can easily decide what you look like, what you listen to, and you don't have much to say for yourself. So what we've tried to do with the album is sort of we're not in any way trying to say that we're not brainwashed. We're brainwashed as everyone else. We're just trying to say that if you're conscious to it, then you can decide for yourself a little bit more. And it's you can't live completely without all these things. You need it, and this is the world we live in. But having a about what you actually like, what you want to do, and not letting other people sort of pave the road for you is really important. And that's why the video is doing what it does, because it's us showing how much we're just the same. It's here's an advertisement, but it feels good to burn that advertisement and say fuck it. Like, it's nice to sort of dispose of this because we know that it's just everywhere and we're chucking something down your throat just as much as everyone else is. So It feels quite nice to sort of burn that, and we're just trying to say that you can say no to that advertisement and metaphorically burn it. Do you know what I mean? Get rid of it.
For sure. Look, I've got a 13-year-old son who's making that mental transition himself, and rather than me talk him through it, I reckon I'm going to play him your album and play him this interview, and he'll be just fine.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Indeed. Look, Four Walls was released a month later. An absolutely killer track and a killer video to go with it. Did this noticeably increase the anticipation for the new album for you guys?
Yeah, definitely. I think, firstly, it's a very different song to New World Torture, which is what we tried to do with the releases. The record as a whole sort of goes everywhere, and it never really feels like it settles into one particular style or sound, which is what we intended.
Yeah.
And then, so with the tracks we released, we wanted to just to give people an array of different songs, different vibes and different sounds, so that no one ever really knew what we'd made or what our new sound was like, so to speak. So, and obviously, we tried to do a really big sort of quite a simple music video, but a bold music video at that. Just a very large performance to sort of demonstrate what the songs look like if you see us playing them, rather than just listening to it. It's always nice to sort of see the band while listening to the band. And so we got a really great reaction to that song. I actually can't wait to play it live. But yeah, it seems like everything sort of just continued to build nicely, and over here we've just sort of come to the end of it, which is a huge relief. And it's all about getting on tour and finding out how that song goes down. But fingers crossed, it'll be a great one live.
Oh, I think if you start the tour in the UK, you're going to move it about 6 inches to the left, I think, with all the moshing going on.
Yeah.
You're certainly diverse in this album, We're Alive at Night. As much as I really love it, it just provides a calm mid-album, a calm mid-storm, if that makes sense. But where did that come from?
Yeah. Well, as a group of musicians, we don't listen to heavy music all the time. We listen to absolutely everything, and we spend a lot of time. We go camping a lot, because I think when you live in such a chaotic world of being carted around, before you know it, you don't spend any time in the wilderness or in the wild. So we sort of make an effort to go into the woods a lot, and we sleep in hammocks in the woods. And we write a lot of music out there and sing out there, and that's kind of a nice environment for us. And that song is basically there to sort of just to remind everyone that it doesn't have to be chaos all the way through. It's nice to take a second and breathe. You can't have light without dark. Do you know what I mean? And vice versa. And that song is just there just to give you a minute and to let you think about what you've listened to. Just enjoy a bit of a calm moment before it all picks back up. I think I feel like the album's quite intense as a piece of music, and it's nice to put breathing spaces in it so that people can take in what they're listening to and actually decide and think about it, rather than it all just being rammed down their neck.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I didn't know that there was such a psychological balance to what you were producing on the disc. It truly is remarkable.
Oh, thanks.
My pleasure indeed. Look, obviously, there's been a great deal going into the album. This is 6 is a huge album, but Brainwash seems to be a massive progression for the band musically in a short time. How do the two albums differ for you guys in the band?
Well, the first album, this is the 6, it's always quite a difficult album. That was like our first record, so we wrote it quite carefreely. It just sort of happened quite quickly, and we didn't really, we almost didn't think a great deal about what we were doing on that record. We did. We tried really hard on it, but when I look back at it now, I seem to remember as being quite carefree in the whole process, which is a great way to be and a great way to write music. But then on the second, then that sort of got such a great response that you instantly find yourself with a certain level of pressure for your second album, and how you're going to sort of live up to the expectations of having a greatly received first record, and that can be quite overwhelming. And so what we sort of, with this one, we kind of tried to say to each other and be like, right, imagine this is the last album you're ever going to write. What are you going to do? Do you know what I mean? What do you need to put into this album if this is the last piece of music you ever write? Mm. So we tried to go into it with just a sort of all or nothing kind of idea.
Indeed.
And just to create, being in a band, you shouldn't ever be out there to try and recreate your favourite band. You should be there to create your favourite band and to make music that's perfect for you and hopefully transcends nicely to other people. So what we tried to do with Brainwashed is just create our own favourite possible like capture of music, just a spread of all these different genres and influences, which are what we've had building up over the last sort of 15 years of each of us' lives, and try and just create something that we really cared about and that we were really proud of. And then once you've done that, then that's the best sort of foundations for it to pass on to anyone else, and hopefully for them to enjoy it too. There's no point making something that you think everyone else is going to like, but you don't like it. That sort of defies the point.
Yeah, yep. And look, while you're speaking, I've just got our legacy going through my head. It's obviously your legacy. Yeah,
well, that's the idea around the song. The band, as collectively as a group of people, we've been doing the same thing as this band for almost 10 years now, and before that, I've been doing the same thing for a good 5 years before with two of the other guys, and it's just really is. This is the life we've sort of made for ourselves, and it's important to sort of try and embrace every minute of it and do your best all the way through it. Don't become complacent and stop trying. I mean, as soon as you do and you expect success, then it won't happen. You'll only get success if you deserve it, in my opinion. And that requires a lot of hard work.
And look, it's just little old me sitting in Australia, but I think you've achieved exactly what you set out to. It's tremendous work.
Thank you very much, man. Really.
No, my absolute pleasure. There's obviously a great deal of emotion that goes into our legacy, and now I understand where it comes from, so I thank you very much for shedding light on that. Matt, I have to ask, though, where did the band name originally come from?
Come from us, we were probably about 15 at the time, and in that typical sort of youth, what should we call our band conversation, the band together has actually we've been playing together for years, but we've shuffled around names in the early days, and it's pretty stupid, really. We'd had practice one day, and we went into my kitchen in my house, and my stepmom was reading a magazine, and the article in the magazine was titled "While He Was Sleeping," and just literally there and then we were like, that sounds like it could be quite a cool name. So we sort of shortened it and swapped the gender in it. But then as the time's gone on, what I actually quite like about the name is that obviously boats are always referred to as she's, and there's kind of a nice thing about a boat where that even if it sinks, it's still as there as it ever was on the surface. It's just not on the surface anymore. And I think that's quite similar to music, how we've made something that will always be there, and especially now thanks to the internet and everything like that, there will always be a trace of our band somewhere. And even if we're not on the surface, which is a quite nice relevance. So I think While She Sleeps that's a nice way of saying we'll always be there, whether we're there or not.
Beautifully put. Yeah, lovely turn of phrase. And look, I'm glad you went down that track. As soon as you said 15-year-old boys and Where She Sleeps, my mind went into it. Well, you can imagine. And it's been yourself, Sean, Aaron and Adam, right from the beginning, and I realised 3 of you were playing beforehand, is that right?
Yeah, basically me, Adam and Sean, so both guitarists and the drummer, we've been playing together for sort of about 13 years now, and then Aaron joined in sort of 2006, so the beginning of While She Sleeps, and Loz joined in 2009. So it's been a very similar. The band, we've been friends from school. We've been doing the exact same thing. It's quite funny. I see people from my school, and they sort of ask what I'm doing, and I'm like, I'm kind of doing the same thing I was doing in school. I've spent my whole life trying to do the exact same thing, or at least the last sort of 15 years.
Yeah, and being very successful about it too. Goodness me, it's better than standing behind the counter of a convenience store.
Yeah, for sure. I think that needs encouraging. If you do want something and if you have a passion, that you should just go out there and do it. You shouldn't listen to anyone else saying you need a grade, this isn't important, this is important. If you care about something, then you should go out and attack it. And that's what we did, and it's somehow worked out. I mean, we're not rich we don't make much money at all, but we've learned that money isn't a very important thing if you can find happiness.
Absolutely. It certainly makes me happy talking to people like you. It really does, and shedding light on such tremendous works. So I'm with you on that one.
Thank you.
I've got to ask, though, any chance of a tour coming up in Australia?
Oh, mate, we are dying to get back over. We've been to Australia twice, and it's a fantastic place to tour. We're keeping our fingers crossed for sort of either the end of this year or the beginning of next year.
Oh, I'm hearing Soundwave.
Maybe Soundwave next year.
Yeah, so wouldn't that be awesome?
And then sticking around a little bit of extra stuff would be nice.
Oh, tremendous! I hope it comes to pass. We'll be there rocking along right.
Well, me too. Basically, any opportunity we can get to come out there, we'll take, because we've had a great time there in the past, and it's a beautiful country. So we're happy to come over.
We'd love to have you back again too. You've toured extensively, of course. Do you have an absolute favourite live performance so far?
Say what, like a place where we've a specific performance?
Either a place or a crowd that really did it for you.
We played in Taiwan.
Wow.
in September this year. It was our first ever time. I've never been to Asia in my life, and we went over and we did a festival in Hong Kong, did a festival in Taiwan, and for what I knew, we were playing as sort of main support on this festival, which was sort of mind blowing to us anyway. And we got out the airport in Taiwan, and basically got in a taxi to go to the festival, and I said to the guy, like, how are the other bands going down? How is everything? And he sort of just turned around to me and said, I think you're in store for a pretty life-changing night. And I laughed. I was like, it turned out we weren't main support on the festival. We were actually headlining the festival.
Oh my God.
And they switched the bands around because people were so excited, and we went on to play this thing, and there was 5,000 people there, and they were just absolutely losing their minds, and there was people on the front row crying, and it was one of the most touching experiences I've ever had, to travel to somewhere completely unknown to me and see people know the band, know the lyrics. Just completely just sort of blew my mind, and that, I think that was one of the most sort of touching live performances we've had.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you very much for that, taking us right there. I wish you'd witnessed that one, but we'll keep our fingers crossed for Soundwave.
Yeah, I wish I could do it again.
Indeed. Matt, look, I've got a whole list of questions I want to ask you, but unfortunately time flies. It's been tremendous to speak with you. Thanks very kindly and sincerely for your time.
Oh, dude, you're welcome. I appreciate you making the effort.
Thank you, mate.
Come and talk to
and
me.
Congratulations on Brainwash. It's obviously going to be a huge success.
Thank you. Well, keep my fingers crossed.
Indeed. You take care, Matt.
Thanks, bro. Good to speak to you.
Bye-bye.